Everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to another episode of Platform App Builder Certification Series. So today we're going to talk about the chatter groups and feed tracking. In my previous episode, I talked about chatter, how chatter is used for collaboration. You can collaborate with other team members, right? And you can collaborate with the customers as well. So today, the main focus is about groups. You can create a groups like, think about like a group like a forum, right? For instance, let's say you're working on a new enhancement or functionality, new functionality, right? And you would like to involve customers and other team members to join the discussion, right? Like a board, right? So for instance, let me give a very simple example. Let's say you're talking about launching a new beer, right? So you wanted to involve your different brewers as well as a customer to understand the taste thereafter, the preferences, whether they wanted a different kind of lager, or they're after pilsner, or they're after a different style of stouts, like a milk stout, or different kind of porters. You know what I'm trying to say. So let's say a requirement is to build we are building a new beer, right? So we are going to brew a new beer. So keeping that into consideration, we would like to team up with different brewers and customers, right? Right. So in that case, we're going to use a chatter group where a user can post in their opinions and whatnot, and we can do other stuff as well. So that's one thing we're going to do. And then we're going to talk about public group, private groups, right? And then we're going to talk about the feed tracking, right? For instance, if you change the value of a specific field, that get tracked and get reported in the chatter. So we're going to talk about those things today, right? So the first thing first, you need to log into an org. If you do not have an org, I would highly encourage you to have an org, please, right? You can register for a free org and you can do whatever you want. It's your org, right? Cool. So I'm logged into my org. So as you can see, I'm in a setup page here, right? So one thing I wanted to talk about before we get into chatter group, I wanted to show you the chatter settings, right? Which is very important. So let's go to chatter. We go to chatter settings here. And so make sure that the chatter settings, this is enabled, and allow groups. So you can tick this one, right? And then you can go through other options as well. So for now, we're not much concerned about it, but if you want, you can read about it. There's a help for this page. If you click here, it will take you to the help documentation. That's one of the beauty of Salesforce. You can view the help and from the same location, right? So which is very handy in my opinion. So it takes some time to load, right? So you can read about it. So I would highly encourage you to go and read about it, right? Cool. Okay, so please make sure you enable this. And so once that's done, go to group. And so what we're gonna do, so we're gonna create two groups, right? One is public group, another one is private group. Let's say new beer, right? Let's say new beer lager group, right? We wanted to create a new recipe for a lager beer. So so we can create we can go down and access type, just make it as a public. And if you wanted to disable automatic archiving, you can do that. Allow customer, you can't do that using public. I'll show you what I meant to say that if you use, you can't use customers when a group is public, right? So broadcast, if you wanted to broadcast on any information, right? So you can use as a broadcast only, right? So for now, this is not a broadcast. We're not allowing customer here. So we can save and next, right? So if you want, you can upload an image, right? Whatever you want. But for now, I'm not gonna do it. So I'm not adding a member here because the reason why I will tell you in a minute. So Mark created a group, which is an admin, who's an admin for this group. Now, this is a public group, right? Any of the team members can join this group and start commenting on this group, right? So I've logged in as Mark, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to log in as a test, a different user. My apologies that I don't have a better naming customer for this org, but for demo purpose, that will do the job, right? Okay, so we're going to go here to setup. To go to setup, go to the gearcock icon at the top right-hand corner and go to setup here. And we're going to go to users, and let's log in as, okay, you know what? Before we go there, let's create a private group as well in the same time, right? So we're going to create a private group, let's say secret, right, beer, whatever. Let's say internal meeting, right? Internal meeting, which should be a private, right? And I'm going to make it private. I'm going to save it, right? And as usual, if you want to upload an image, you can do that as well. Okay, so we're not going to invite any user here. Okay, okay. Now let's go to login as another user. So I've logged in as a separate user. So let's go to groups here. Okay, so let's go to active groups. So this user can see all the groups. So let's go to the first one, which is the public group. So as you can see, you have an option to join the group. So you can join the group. So you joined it, right? And you can say, hey, welcome. So, hey, just say, right? Okay, so you joined the group, you started contributing to the group. Fantastic, right? And you can do polling, you can ask questions, right? You can do different stuff here. So one of the good feature about the chatter, right? So this is like you will get more engagement from different users who wanted to be part of this group because it's a public group, right? Cool. Now let's see what happens with the private group, right? So we're gonna go here and we're gonna go to active groups. So this is a private, right? Now here you see the difference here. Ask to join the group. So I have requested, right? Let's see, I can comment, yeah. I can comment, but can you join the group? That's a different thing, right? So now what we're gonna do, so I'm gonna log off. So go here, I'm gonna log out, right? So I've logged out as a test now, and so let's go to the group here. So you can add a group here from here, right? So, and you also got a membership request, right? Because I've requested for a membership, right? So I can approve it or I can reject it. So I can accept it, right? So the member has been added, or you can add from here, right? That's another thing. Add or delete, you can do that. So this is very cool and handy feature. I hope you appreciate the functionality, of groups. If you're using collaboration, you can use that. It's very handy. Right. Okay. So now another topic I want to talk about is a feed tracking, which is very, very basic, but yet very powerful feature, right? Because you wanted to know who fiddle with what, right? Which field. So let me give you a very simple example. Let's go to setup first. You need to enable the feed tracking first. So we're gonna feed. So feed tracking under setup, you can type it here. So go to feed tracking here. You can choose whichever object you want. So I've already enabled for a contact, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do phone, right? If you change the phone number, you can see if someone tries to fiddle with the phone number, it will be logged in a chatter, right? So let's save it. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, I will log in as a user. I'll tell you in a minute why. I'm going to go as a go to contact, and I'm going to go all contacts. And let's say I will have this David Muller, right? And you see, I'm gonna follow. No, hang on a second. Let's go to, because the chatter is enabled for. I'm gonna follow this record here, which is very simple, right? Because I wanted to know what's happening here, and I'm gonna log out as a test, right? And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to contact. I can go from here as well, or I can go from a tic-tac-toe icon. And we're gonna go as this David Muller test, right? And remember, I have enabled the feed tracking for a phone, right? So I'm gonna do details, and I will go to phone. I'm gonna change it to, I'm gonna add 1 here, right? Okay. Now you're gonna go to chatter here. You can see the phone changed here, which is fantastic, right? Okay, let's enable another one, fax, blah blah, whatever, right? Okay, you can see that there is no feed tracking because we haven't enabled the feed tracking for this field, so you can't actually, do the tracking, which is, the feed tracking is a very powerful option, right? Because if a customer asks you to have an audit trail or something, right? You can actually do the feed tracking, right? You can actually enable this feature to see which fields you wanted to track. And you can also, what is that called? Yeah, so this is a very handy option. So, and let me show you one more thing. So you can also enable the history. Like for instance, I have this custom object called beer history. So you can actually enable the history tracking. So whenever any information get changed, you can actually do that here as well. So, right. So that's very handy option as well. So yeah. So let me go into the user and. Let me go as, before I do that, because I've opened too many windows at times. Okay, I'm gonna log out. Okay, so I'm gonna go to contact. You can go from contact here. Let's go to Lauren, or whatever the user is. Let's change this phone. Yeah, and I'm gonna save it. Right. So you can see that the phone number has been changed. Right. Fantastic. Cool. Let's go log in as the test user. Go to contact and go to David Muller. Right, you can see that someone has changed the record, right? So, that somebody has been fiddling with it. So if you look at it, so now if we go to, there's something. So Lauren Boyle. So if you go to chatter, you see, you can also see that the person has been fiddling with the phone number as well. So this is very handy option if you wanted to see who's mucking up with the data. So you can actually enable the feed tracking. So that's get displayed in the chatter. So which is very handy. Right. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today, right? Because it's a very simple functionality what Salesforce offer in terms of groups and feed tracking. So if you're someone who's preparing for a platform app builder certification, then I would expect that you should know this option because they would might test you in the certification. Even if you're not giving certification, right? It's still it's good to know the functionality, right? Because I've seen people with a lot of certification, and they basically struggle with the basic stuff. It doesn't make sense, right? I mean, I'm not a big fan of certification, to be honest with you, because I prefer to see a person work what they've done, right? Because paper doesn't make any justify anything, right? Some people have years of experience, but they're not certified, but they can actually do the stuff. So that's more important. At the same time, there are people who know the stuff and get certified, so that's fantastic, right? So, right. So that's being said, greetings and adios from New Zealand. Take care. Bye bye.